Yeah, Robert, I fucking love your wife, Debbie. It was Christmas. Oh, it was Christmas time, yeah. We were down Mum and Dad's line. And Deb said to me, she was using her camera, because it was digital camera. And Deb said to me that the quality of the video camera, the digital camera, is crap. Is not as good as the quality on the mobile telephones, Galaxy, on the Galaxy telephone sort of thing, or iPad, whatever you got. So the quality is better on the telephones than it is on the fucking digital camera. So I thought, aha, I've been wanting to make a decent movie for years, get back to good quality. So I used to use video, you see. Video was always perfect. Video was always excellent quality, actually. Video was always excellent quality. I mean, originally, digital cameras have been really shit until recently, when they got the Samsung Galaxy and the Apple iPad. Anyway, so Deb said, the quality of the camera is much better on the telephone than it is on the fucking digital camera thingy. So I bought one of these Galaxies, Samsung Galaxy. Bloody excellent. Anyway, I was thinking, I never had any problem at school. I never got beat up at school, ever. Never even had a fight. Well, we did have the chair fights, that's different. But I never had a fight at school. I went to Hatfield School, right? Hatfield, Hertfordshire. It was at the top of Travellers Lane. It would have been about 1979, Rob, wasn't it? Yeah, it was 1979, I think it was, when I went to Hatfield School. That's on the top of the hill, well, it used to be on the top of the hill. That was 1979, actually, Rob. I've got to talk quick, we ain't got a lot of film. That's 1979. But I never got picked on at school, ever. You know why? Because ever since I went to school, I'll tell you, sorry, I went to Hatfield School, so it was my first day at Hatfield School. I'm going to get in my bed, hang on. It was my first day at fucking Hatfield School, right? I was standing in line for the dinner queue. That's right. Wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was standing in line for the dinner queue at school. And this big kid came up to me. I don't know what his name, who it was. But this big kid, one of the older kids from, I think, class 2, I think, or class 3. No, I think it was class 2 he was from. He was a year older, big kid. Anyway, he was quite big. And I've always been a little kid. I've never been a big kid. I was a very small child. I was actually a very small child. My brothers are quite, Robert, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But anyway, no, I was quite a small kid, Anyway, I was about 13 years old, standing in the dinner queue. And this big kid comes up to me and says, "Hey, mate, give me your pocket money." Because it was my very first day at Hatfield School. This big kid, he comes to me and said, "Hey, kid, give me your fucking dinner money or I'll beat you up. Give me your fucking dinner money or I'll beat you up." All of a sudden, my big brother, Robert was in year 2, he was the year above me, right? Robert's 14 months older than me. I said, Robert is 14 months older than me. Anyway, my big brother, Robert, he came up to this guy and says, "What are you doing?" And the guy says, I want his pocket money. And Robert says, "That's my fucking brother, you cunt. That's my fucking brother." He looked at me and said, "What? You're Rob Bailey's brother? You're Rob Bailey's brother?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, sorry." And Robert said to him, "Look, man, if you want to pick on my brother, you've got to fight me first." Robert never, ever, ever lifted a finger. Me and Robert, when we were kids, we had fights, man. Oh, we had the most fantastic fun. We were like puppy dogs. But we had really good wrestling matches. Me and Robert loved to wrestle. Well, we were always wrestling. We were always fighting each other, me and Robert, when we were kids. But Robert always won the fight, because Robert's, a year older than me. Robert's always been bigger than me. So Robert's always been bigger than me, Anyway, he used to pin me to the ground. Every time we wrestled, all through our childhood, when we were kids, we always used to fight. We always used to wrestle. And Robert always won the fight, every fucking time. But I'll tell you one thing. Never, ever did he ever lift a fist against me. Robert never, when me and Robert were fighting, we were fucking wrestling. But he never, ever lifted a fist. He never punched me once. Never, ever. Anyway, I was at school and this kid was picking on me, and Robert says, "You want to fight him, you've got to fight me first. I'm his big brother." And I never, ever got picked on, ever again. I never, ever got picked on, ever again, when I was at school. There was always Robert in front of me, "What, you're Rob Bailey's brother? Fuck it, I'm not going to pick a fight with you, he'll kill me." Well, Jim's brother as well. Jim's my big brother. But actually, when I was at Hatfield School, I think Jim was in the 5th form when I started Hatfield School. Jim's my big brother. because he was born in 61. But I think it was in the 5th year when we were at school. And everybody kept, all his mates used to come up to me and says, "Hey, fucking hell, you look just like Jim. You're Jim Bailey's brother." That's what, the older kids in the 5th year and 6th form just come up to me and says, "Fucking hell, you're Jim Bailey's brother, aren't you? Fuck it, you look exactly like him." So when I grew up, I grew my hair and a beard and wore glasses so they wouldn't recognise me. Anyway, Don joined the school later on, because Don's my little brother. But he didn't join the school for another 4 years, sort of to Hatfield School. He was in Howdale for another 4 years before he came to Hatfield. But I'm just saying, I never got picked on school because I got big brothers. I got Robert's my big brother. He's 1 year older than me. Like he's always watched over me. Robert has. No one has ever had a fight with me when we were children because Robert was always there. The only person allowed to fight me was Robert. Said Robert was the only person ever allowed to fight me. He pinned me to the ground every time we had a fight. Never ever once lifted a fist. The only reason that me and Robert stopped fighting is because one day I got a hard on. It's a true story. The only reason me and Robert stopped fighting was because one day I got a hard on. Do you know what I mean? I had a few fights at school. We had chair fights at school. Do you remember the chair fights? Class B. Dan Barnes, Paul Salou. We were both in. You were in Class B as well, weren't you? Roger Deans was in Class D, I think. But anyway, I don't know. But Paul Salou and Dan Barnes were in Class B, and so was Stuart Shannon and several other. There was 2 other Baileys there as well. Ian and Steve Bailey, I think. Was it Ian and Steve? Ian and was your brother's name? I can't remember. There was a couple of other Baileys in there. We're not related, but no, Jason. It was Jason, and that's right. It was Jason Bailey and Ian Bailey as well. We were in the same class one bit in Hatfield. In fact, all the time in Hatfield School, there was Jason Bailey there as well and Ian Bailey, but we were not related. Like anyway, my big brother was sort of like 1 year older than me. Robert's 1 year older than me, and he always used to fucking. No one ever lifted a finger against me at school. We had some great chair fights, didn't we, in 1B? In B, all through the years and stuff. We had some great fights, gang fights, sort of like one class against another. Do you remember that? 1B, I think. That was that class, I think it was. No, that was our year. But we used to have some great fucking chair fights with the other classes. We used to have gang, the whole class, when the teachers weren't in the room, what we used to do is stack up desks. When the teachers weren't in the room, we used to stack up the desks on both sides of the room, one before the door, because we always used to try and invade each other's classrooms. It's true. When we were children, we had a form room, our own room, for the class. But every class used to try and invade the other class for fun, like. So we used to have chair fights, like, and we used to stack the desks up in the room, like when the teachers weren't there, because if the teachers were late. And then what we used to do, sort of like 1B, we had to defend ourselves, and we used to have chair fights. Do you remember the piece? Leon Avenel, here's another one there. I can list them all probably. Mandy Andrews, she was there too, and Jackie and Debbie. God, I can't remember your names now. Anyway, never mind. I'm saying actually the girls, because we had the back window, the girls used to actually, because it was mixed classrooms, boys and girls. Some of the girls actually joined in the fights sometimes, but the girls used to sit on one side of the classroom watching the fight. The girls used to sit on one side of the classroom watching the fight. And the boys, we used to sort of we stacked the tables up, and then the other class used to come into the room, and we used to have chair fights, throwing chairs at each other. That's what we used to do when we were children. We used to have chair fights and throw chairs at each other. I've had a few fights in my time since I left school, Well, there was one fight, I think that was with Liam Slaney actually, when I had my mates, in about 2004, something like that. But anyway, he came up with my mates, some of my mates, started saying, "Oh, what, you fucking these little boys." Anyway, he was the same age actually. And we had this, and he started punching me actually. Actually, he started punching me like that, punch. Anyway, and I took, so he started punching me. No, actually, good point. Liam, do you remember that was a boxing match, man? There was no weapons involved. We never used weapons. That's one thing about Hatfield. We've never used weapons in fights. Well, when I had a fight, we never used weapons. We didn't need them. Anyway, My first fight, well, since I've been up in Queensway House, I've had 3 fights in Queensway. Well, 2 fights. No, I've only had 2 fights in Queensway House. One was Liam Slaney, because he came up with Russell and Dan and Basil's and all that. Anyway, he punched me, right? He punched me because he thought I was fiddling around with him. Something like that. He punched me like that. I said, hang on a minute. Stop a minute. Let me take off my glasses, right? Because I wear glasses. He said, I didn't want to break my glasses. So I said, hang on a minute. Let me take off my glasses. So Liam, he stopped punching, and I took off my glasses. That's right, I remember that fight very well. I've got it recorded at the end of it. But anyway, the bruises, in hell. Anyway, I took off my glasses, So I said, right, okay, carry on. And he kept punching away, punching. I didn't actually feel anything at all. When Liam Slaney and me read the fight, I didn't feel any pain at all. There was no feeling at all. My face was completely numb, sort of thing. There was no feeling. It didn't hurt one little bit, I swear to God. That boxing match, it didn't hurt one little bit. There was no pain whatsoever. So he kept punching me, and I started pushing him. So, I punched him back a few times. I punched him back a few times. I kept punching him back. I fell to the floor a couple of times, but I still got up. In fact, when I fell to the floor in that fight, in the boxing match, Liam, when I fell to the floor, actually, you didn't kick me at all. Actually, you didn't actually. You were quite a gentleman, Liam. You are quite a gentleman fighter. You didn't kick me at all. I went down a couple of times for a couple of seconds. I stood up again, so I stood up. Then he started punching me again, right? So I started punching back, and I started pushing him. Whilst punching, while we were fighting, sort of struggling, whatever. I started pushing him from the living room. I got him down the hall, right? I kept pushing him. He kept punching away. I pushed him, got him into the hall. Actually got him into the hallway, because I kept pushing him out of my room, right? That's right, during that fight. In fact, one thing I did notice is no one else stopped him. That's one thing about my pals, I will say, at that time. Not one of you tried to stop him fighting me. You just stood there and watched the fight, didn't you? I had about 4 or 5 of my friends in the room at the time of the fight, Russell included, and the Basil. No, I don't think Basil wasn't there. No, I don't think Basil's were there, but Russell was there anyway, and a few other of the street pals and all that. They were on the VHS movies, by the way. Anyway, they just stood there and watched the fight. Anyway, I pushed this guy, and I managed to get him into the hall. And I kept pushing him until I got him out in the hall. Somehow I managed to open the door. Somehow I was fighting this cunt, and I managed to open the door. Don't know how, because I was fighting, and I opened the door. And I pushed him out into the hall, and he kept punching away, and I struggled for him, and I got him onto the floor, actually. I actually got him onto the fucking floor, and I had him pinned down. I was going to kick the shit out of him, actually. I still didn't feel any pain at all, I swear to God. Honest to God, I didn't feel anything. So we were struggling on the floor, and I managed to pin him down. I pinned him down, and I was going to punch his fucking face. And he called his mates over, because he had about 3 mates who were standing outside. He had about 3 mates who were standing outside. And he called his mates over, and they started kicking me. They kept kicking me until I let go. Because I had this cunt, I had Liam Slaney pinned down, and his mates, his 2 or 3 mates, I think there's 3 of them actually, they kept kicking me until I let go. And then all 4 of them ran off after that. Then all 4 of them just ran off. But Liam did apologise to me after the fight. He's a gentleman, actually. Liam Slaney, that was a gentleman fight. You didn't use a weapon. You didn't kick me. I had you pinned down, but you didn't kick me. Your 3 mates kicked me in the back. That's why I had a week off work. It wasn't the punches. That wasn't the pain. There was no pain at the time until the day after. Anyway, so I had him pinned down, and his 3 mates came over, and they started kicking me, so I let go, etc. And then the 3 of them ran off down the stairs, right? So I went back into my room, and I've got a film of this bit, right? I've got the film of this bit on VHS, by the way. I went back into my living room, sat down, put on my video. I put on my VHS video camera, started recording things. Then I phoned the hospital and said, I just had a fight, and the hospital came and took me to the hospital. But I mean, after the fight, and I ended up with sort of like 2 black eyes. I had 2 black eyes. I had spine, sort of like broken ribs, a couple of broken ribs, I think, out of that fight. Might have had a couple of broken ribs and sort of like, might have lost a tooth or something, but, I had a bit of fucking 2 black eyes, so definitely a swollen face. My face was really swollen, like, you know, a knackered body. I couldn't walk. I could hardly walk. I actually had about 4 weeks off work after that to recover. But anyway, yeah. But afterwards, about 2 weeks after the fight, anyway, no, Liam came up with Ginger. It was with Ginger. Yes, it was. It was Ginger, Graham. He came up with Ginger. Liam came up with Ginger, and he sat down and says, "Look, Bill, I didn't know you. I'm sorry for the fight." And we shook hands. And he actually apologised to me. So Liam Slaney actually came up to me 2 weeks later with Ginger, and he actually said, "Sorry, Bill, I didn't know you." And he shook my hand. And we shook hands, and he apologised. He said sorry. Do you know, actually, Liam Slaney, you are the only person who has ever said sorry. After, you know, you are the only person, in fact, you're the only person who's ever apologised to me. We had that fight, yeah, but we're still friends. You know, I still see him in the streets. He's a lovely bloke. I see Liam in the street quite often in Hatfield, Hertfordshire. Anyway, you know, we still talk in the streets. But he actually came up with Ginger one night, about 2 weeks after the fight, and he apologised to me. He actually said sorry. He actually came up to me and said, "Sorry, Bill, I was wrong. Sorry I attacked you." And he apologised. You know, I don't know anyone else who has ever apologised to me. I don't think anyone else has apologised to me yet. Apollo, that'd be a good name. You can have that. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, I had another fight once as well. Well, I had a fight once in the street, you know, well, actually, he's a mate of mine now. But I did have a fight with Scott. That's right, Scott. Well, Scott, actually, Scott, I was on my way to get some green light, you know, Scott is one of the neighbours left side. It was about 10 years ago, this is, you know, maybe even longer than that, about 12 years, I don't know how long ago that one was. But anyway, you know, we're having a fight in someone's backyard, like. So I grabbed his thumb with my mouth. I bit his thumb. I grabbed his thumb in my mouth. I probably couldn't do that these days. Look at my teeth. I don't know if I can do that again, Scott. Anyway, I had Scott's thumb in my mouth. You know, I was going to bite his thumb off. So he gave up. He said, because I was biting his thumb off like that. So he gave up that fight. That was cool. And then I see Scott every fucking day in the street in Hatfield. He's a good mate of mine. Scott's all right. Scott's okay. Got your mouth fucked too. No, we did have a fight about 10 years ago. I nearly bit his thumb off. I actually nearly bit his fucking thumb off. But I just have one more fight. I've had one more fight since sort of thing in my flat. Like, in fact, someone kept banging on my door every day for about a week or two. You get bang on the door in the middle of the night sort of thing. So one night, I decided to open the door. You know, had it on the hook, and I had the door on the chain lamp. Obviously the chain wasn't very strong. And he pushed against the door. He was wearing one of these hoodies with a mask. He had a mask on sort of thing. He had his face covered, you know. I couldn't see his face because he had it covered with a hood, sort of like just above the eyes. All I could see was his fucking eyes. He was wearing this fucking hood or something, some kind of mask. And he started sort of like attacking me, like, you know, literally. I opened the door, and as soon as I opened the door, he started pushing his way in, and he started punching me like. And I grabbed hold of him, right, and he's trying to fight me. And I grabbed hold of him, I pushed him into the fucking bathroom, right, in the hall. True story. And I pushed him into the fucking bathroom, right. I was pushing him, and he pushed me into the bath. You know, we were fighting, he pushed me into the bath. And because he'd been knocking on my door for about 2 weeks or whatever, I had a hammer in the bath. I put a hammer in the bath, just in case. But this hammer, actually, this very same hammer. You ever heard of Thor's hammer? That's a good time. You ever heard of Thor's hammer? I think it was a Thursday, actually. It was a Thursday. I think when we had that fight, on that time, I think it was a Thursday, actually. I'm pretty sure it was. Anyway, he got me into the bath, like, you know, pushing, shoving, punched me in the bath, trying to punch me in the bath. And because, you know, he's been banging the door for days or whatever, I put a hammer in the bath, like this one. Have you ever heard of the bloodbath at the House of Death? Have you? So have you ever heard of the bloodbath at the House of Death? It's a true story, actually. Anyway, anyway, he got me in the bath, and I had this hammer handy by there. So I you know, sort of manoeuvred myself. I was in the bath, So I picked up the hammer, right? And I went smash right into his fucking skull. That's exactly what I did. I got my hammer out the bath and I went smash right into his fucking skull. Unfortunately, I had this. Turns out I had the hammer the wrong way around when I hit him. So I was trying to hit him in the head with the blunt end of the hammer because I thought that'd be kinder, you know. I was trying to hit him with the round bit of, the front part, the head of the hammer. But being stupid like what I am, I'm not very clever. I had the hammer back to front, so I actually sort of like hammered in the fucking head. Bang, bang, hammered right into his fucking head. Literally, right into his fucking head. And blood started pouring out of his fucking... It was the best day of my fucking life. That was beautiful. That was so fucking beautiful. I missed the blood. And the blood started pouring out his fucking head. And this guy, he just sort of like stood up and he just ran away with his mate. He had a mate waiting outside and they ran away, and they ran away. Anyway, I called the police, right? I called the police. And I said, look, I've just been attacked in my flat. Some cunt opened the door and some cunt attacked me. And the police came up and said, well, what did he look like? I said, what? I said, what did he look like? Well, this guy attacked me. I got no idea.